General Kellogg, particularly to you, thank you for your service. I have visited Ukraine 3 times over roughly the last year. The last 2 of them with Senator Graham, taking the overnight train into Kyiv. And I respect particularly, General, your visit to Ukraine and the lessons that you've learned. One of the lessons that come to me over this past year is that the world, and particularly the United States, has consistently underestimated the Ukrainians. I came back from my first trip before the invasion, telling anyone who would listen, including the president, that the Ukrainians were going to fight to the last person with pitchforks if necessary. That is what President Zelensky told me, and he wasn't leaving that country. So I have strong confidence in Ukrainians, which has been bolstered by my visit just 10 days ago to the U.S. Army base in Bavaria, where American soldiers are training Ukrainians in the use of those Bradley armored vehicles. And to quote one of them, they are quick studies, as you would expect when you're defending your homeland, your children, your family, as we would be Americans. In fact, the American soldiers training them said to me, you know, they fight just like we do. So I have come back from each of these visits urging more military aid, more Stingers and Javelins, more of the air defense. Senator Graham and I came back last July urging that we provide the Patriot system, which we did after some hesitation and caution, in fact, delay. And now I am urging that we provide the F-16s, the air support that are necessary, the aircraft that they say are necessary for them to break through the air defenses that the Russians have established. Would you agree with me, General, that we should provide the F-16 and begin training those pilots immediately?
Senator, I would provide them everything we could possibly provide them to win this fight, because it prevents American troops being deployed later if they can defeat the Russian military. And if it takes the F-16, because it does have better avionics than the MiG-29 does, and you could upload the HARM-88 missiles as an example, the answer is I'd provide everything they can.
What I've heard repeatedly, and not just from the administration, from some on both sides of the aisle here, that providing these weapon systems is too complicated, too costly, too difficult in terms of training. What I saw and what I've heard from our American military is that the training obstacles can be overcome, and the costs of failing to provide these weapon systems now will be greater later. We'll pay more in terms of costs if we have to commit troops after one of our NATO allies is involved or attacked than we would now, because right now President Zelensky doesn't want and doesn't need American troops on the ground. He wants the weapon systems that he needs to win the war. Would you agree?
I totally agree, Senator. Look, my experience with the Ukrainians is those that fought with the Ukrainians, they're very capable, they're very smart, it's a very educated population, and they're fighting for the life of their country, and they will devote everything they can to do it. Yes, sir.
There is a hitch here. It's the challenge that I regard as really paramount right now here in the United States, which is our defense industrial base. ATACMS. I fully support providing ATACMS, but what I have been told is that we don't have enough right now, that we need to produce more. The same with some of the ammunition that's been mentioned. We need to produce more of it. We need trained workforce that will provide the skills and the person power that's needed. Would you agree that we need to focus on the production of these weapon systems, not just talk about what's needed on the battlefield?
Sir, absolutely. And the defense industry is working on a peacetime schedule. We ought to get them to a wartime footing to actually ramp up the equipment that they're providing, which is actually backfilling the American military, which is more modern equipment. And the Stinger line was shut down for years. We need to bring those lines back on to make sure and actually put the entire defense industry on a wartime footing, not only get the munitions that are needed to defeat the Russians, by the Ukrainians defeating the Russians, but also to bring our stocks back up to good levels.
I hope we can have bipartisan agreement on that last point that you made, General, because I think it is the key to meeting those needs on the Ukrainian battlefield and being prepared to send a message to China, continued message about our resolve. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Blumenthal. Senator Scott, please.
Thank you, Chairman.